We are back in game live, all access, spending the better part of the next 2 hours chatting about the Open Championship at Royal Troon. Fired up to do that. I'm Charlie Hume. I'm a co-host of the Smylie Show with Smylie Kaufman, and my next guest he is a golf guy for sure, but he's a good buddy. Casey Bannon with the Golfer's Journal. He's a brand manager there. He is the host of a podcast that's really good stuff about the mind game, the mental side of the game. So Casey and I got a laugh in the break. We were just catching up. Casey's about 11 minutes from me right now. He is currently in Durham, North Carolina. Was just here in the state of North Carolina playing Tothill Farm yesterday, a really cool Michael Strand's course. And we were just talking about, guilty pleasure TV. Like that's what you do on an Open Championship Sunday. So, look, I'm a big Owning Manhattan guy. You're a Real Housewives guy, it sounds like.
Yeah, well, not by choice. I think it's. Let's start
Fair.
there. I'm married now, and I don't have control of the remote. But Real Housewives, I'm getting into it and appreciating it for its depth. But yeah, it's nice to finally come to Durham and get to talk to you from a hotel down the street.
That's how we like to do it. Big commentary on the disconnected state of society, which we can unpack at a later date on another in-game live all access, I'm sure. Yes. The first place we got to start is. Like I don't know how or why this happened the way it did the last 2 days, but every guest I feel like I've had on the show is going to play somewhere super cool right after the show, or they've just finished playing somewhere really cool. We had Jackson Van Paris going to play Roaring Gap, Carl Paulson coming off Diamond Creek. I'm a big Mike Strand's nerd. I want like the Cliff Notes version on Tothill Farm as someone who is, I'm ashamed to say, I've never gone and played there. Tell me a little bit about Tothill Farm.
Yeah, it's the work they've done. I actually played it in 2020 before they restored it, and it was, overgrown and just really rough. They've put a lot of work into it and put it back to its original sort of Mike Strand's vision, but it's aggressive and intimidating visually, as all good Mike Strand's courses are. The best Tom Doak and the Confidential Guide to Golf summed this up pretty great. It's Tobacco Road with a lot of rocks, and that's what it is. There's huge stones and granite that you can sort of get a good bounce or a bad bounce off of, but it's just fun. Like we've talked about Mike Strand's courses a lot. If you just want a great match, our match came down to 18. If you just want to make a couple birdies, see a couple things you've never seen on a golf course, and have a really nice day, go try to find a Mike Strand's course.
I love that so much. I think Tobacco Road it's just a little bit under an hour from my doorstep here, so I try to get down to Sanford and play it as often as I can. I'm not trying to equate the two here, say that that his courses are equivalent to some of the courses in Scotland, but just having been there and playing Prestwick, some of that quirkiness, it's clear that he took some pages out of that playbook and tried to kind of make the land feel natural with rolls and contours. And so it's fun watching this week and this style of golf and having been there and saying, we have a little bit of that back at home. And Mike's done a great job with a couple different courses here. So that is fun stuff. It is, of course, a major week. And another place I want to go with you here is you had the good fortune of being selected for the Masters Media Lottery. We were talking about this. We were actually game planning this in the media building at Augusta National that week. So Casey wrote a phenomenal piece about this on the Golfer's Journal. I believe actually this is outside the paywall. So if you want to go check that out now, it's a pinned tweet for Casey, and it's well worth the subscription to the Golfer's Journal. Fantastic publication. Just the publication itself is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. So it's worth checking out there. And also the writing is top tier. But Casey, just give us a little bit of the feel of the nerves on that first tee at Augusta National, how that kind of went throughout the round. And then, of course, you all should go read that piece that Casey wrote about his experience at Augusta National.
Yeah, there's like the term walking on eggshells, when that's sort of what actually playing golf feels like there. It's one thing to walk around the property, but when you put spikes on and stand on the first tee box, I had this weird feeling of not wanting to damage any of the golf course throughout the day, like just very light on your feet. The way they do the media lottery is just incredible in that they keep the Sunday pins out there. The greens are rolling like any tournament day would. So you really get to play your sort of dream round at Augusta National. So, I mean, I can't, it went by way too fast. It was a blur. I was able to make some birdies. I made a bomb on 9 down the hill for birdie, which I did not have on my bingo card when I started. I made birdie from the trees on 13, and I made one on 17 as well. So I felt like that article was pretty self-indulgent, but I had to like list it out for myself. I was going to write down all the yardages and stuff, clubs I hit just for myself and my kids and my hopefully grandkids one day to tell them the one time I played. But yeah, it was a very cool experience running to tell you out of breath in the media center that I won.
As I was scarfing down a moon pie, undoubtedly. No, I think you're allowed. I think you're allowed to be self-indulgent when you play Augusta National. That is the one place where we want that. We're all here for that. So let's talk about now the Open a little bit, Casey, because the Golfer's Journal does such a good job of painting this game and these broad strokes and taking this 10,000 foot view on what all this sort of means. And so just the romanticism of this major this week, a lot's been said about, good and bad, about the unpredictability, the weather, the test, whether tee should be moved up, whether it's too demanding of a test. In your mind, watching this week and just the Open Championship at large, what sort of feelings or emotions does it evoke for you?
Well, it's golf in its purest form, which was like a big sort of inspiration behind starting the Golfer's Journal in the first place. I actually just got my first taste of links golf. I went to Ireland last month for 8 days, proper links golf. And one thing I learned there is that, from the caddies and the locals and the people that live there, they really don't care about whether you want the tee moved up or not. They don't really care that it's blowing 40 into your face or across or down. They don't care that, your gloves are soaked through. This is the game. This is how the game is played. And so I think it's always a nice sort of, shock to the system after watching, the PGA Tour, a lot of professional golf be played in the U.S. sort of on redundant layouts and course styles and stuff. Every year we get to the Open and we get to remind ourselves kind of what golf should be, in its purest form.
Absolutely. Casey, never enough time. We'll do the Real Housewives Owning Manhattan recap next time around. Thanks so much for making the time.
You promise.
I promise.